Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good day to Dr. Arif. My name is Aina Antasha Bentino. I'm from class AM1103K. So my group will present about the advantages of a parliamentary system. So let's start with the introduction first. The introduction of parliamentary system. Parliamentary system is a system of a government in which chosen in a parliamentary party composed of an executive. Parliamentary system can be defined as a representative system that features fusion rather than a separation of executive and legislative institution and powers. Most countries have a parliamentary form of a government. Society or citizen in this country do not vote directly for chief executive, but they vote for a legislative representative or a member of a parliament when they has organized one or more political parties. The chief of executive is a prime minister, such as in Malaysia, Canada, and Britain. Basically, in the same way as the other representatives are chosen, they will be elected to the legislatures. The Prime Minister is the leader of a both party by winning the majority of a citizen vote in their country and thus becoming the leader in the country. Parliamentary system executive is dependent on the legislature, whether indirect or direct support. In addition, each of a cabinet member responsible at administration department of a government, such as a minister for education, foreign, a level justice or other else. A bicameral system with two chambers of a parliament of two houses may constitute the parliamentary system. Okay, for the first house is elected by the lower house. However, second chamber is an upper house or senate that can be appointed or elected from the lower house by a various mechanism under the federal constitution of Malaysia. Yang di-Pertuan Agong is a head of state and also a king in Malaysia. So I will move on to next part sector. Thank you.
Hi, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Azarina binti Mat Saleh. My matric number is 2019225254 and I will explain about one of the advantages of the parliamentary system. The parliamentary structure, the representative form of the government, in which the government is formed by the party. In other words, government also formed by a coalitions of parties with the greatest representation in parliament, such as legislature. Its leader become prime minister or chancellor. There are few advantages of parliamentary system. One of the advantages that I got is the parliament is the distinction between the dignified and efficient aspect of government. The meaning of efficient leadership remains with a team of ministers led by the prime minister and accountable to the parliament. Meanwhile, the meaning of dignified or ceremonial leadership focus on the head of state, which is, for example, in Malaysia is the YDPA. As an example, in Malaysia, the head of state is monarch, which is YDPA, having power to appoint the prime minister. Meanwhile, in Australia, Canada, New Zealand, and several Commonwealth countries, the head of state was Governor General acting in the Queen's name. This is show how dignified the parliamentary system is. After a general election, the YDPA still appoints the Prime Minister, although in reality, it is always the leader of the Parliament's majority party. Other example or last example that we can show or prove that parliamentary system is efficient because in parliamentary form of government, the political party that wins the majority seats in the parliament, which known as legislature during the federal election, will form a government. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Azril Najmi bin Norzi. So the next advantage of parliamentary system is the head of government may advise the head of state to dissolve parliament. Dissolution means the right to dismiss a parliament or other legislative body such that it ceases to hold office for the members of the assembly and requires a new election. But dissolution is different from prorogation, which is prorogation is suspend an assembly sitting but does not cause the members to be disqualified from office or until the holding of a new election. Moreover, initially the power to dissolve the government was a naturally conservative examination of the governments against the power of parliament, which is it is intended to be used at the discretion of the king. Next, in the 19th century, the nature of government power gradually changed in many Europe countries. The rise of organized political party is vying for vote. That means the responsibility of leadership was shifted to a prime minister who depends on a parliamentary majority, so that the power of dissolution would be normally exercised by the head of state only on the advice from the prime minister. Lastly, this dissolution can be rejected if the prime minister has lost their trust of parliament. There are several constitutions that state head of state can reject the dissolution if the prime minister has lost their parliamentary trust. For example, in Article 13 Constitution of Ireland, the president has been required to dissolve the parliament, but he reject this request by prime minister. It is because this prime minister has lost their trust in parliamentary. That's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I am Aina Najah binti Nur Azmi. Okay, today I will present one of advantages of parliamentary system. That is the faster and easier to pass legislation. Okay, what is executive? Executive defined as the branch of government that responsible for putting decision or law into effect. Okay, they also depended upon the direct or indirect support of the legislative branch, and this is include of the member of legislature. Okay, this amount also possessing more votes in order to pass legislation. Other than that, presidential system might not be able to properly implement in their manifesto. Okay, the between of productive aspect of government is the cornerstone of the parliamentary system, which is, for example, in Malaysia, Yang di-Pertuan Agong is the most powerful executive in federal government. He will lead and control the government, and the other executive in Malaysia, such as Prime Minister, will carry out the policy to government. Okay, the other executive also should be expert in policy making. This is because to ensure the socio-economic and cultural development of its people. Okay, that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farisha Idani binti Muhammad Farid. So I would like to continue presenting the advantage of the parliamentary system. The last advantage of the parliamentary system is electoral participation. It is where the citizens are given the opportunity to vote for their government official. The government that have been elected will represent the people in voicing their opinions, problems, and other more. Each voters might want to change to their community. For example, want to add new roads, develop residential area, and their other desires. The political choices are directly made by the entire body of qualified voters in latest societies. Therefore, democratic government should be conducted through in the representative. This election was held for the voters to choose the best leader or party for them to perform in the office. So there will be only one party chosen among the alternative candidates, parties and policies. To get the result, it will take some days from the election. As for the vote counting system, the party with the most votes or majority ballot will be elected to rule the government. The voting system is very important variable in explaining the public policy choices and the quantity of political parties able to receive representative at the same time participate in the government. Policy is the way to enforce in electoral, government formation and legislative establishment. According to Grush 1994, even though electors in Malaysia are free to cast their votes, but it is difficult to dispute or argue the conclusion. So that's all from me. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Farah Azrim binti Abdul Rahman. So I'm the last presenter for my group, so I will conclude. To conclude, it has been used as an instant that has accomplished a great deal worldwide. It is typified by the reliance of the executive on the parliament. The Prime Minister and the monarch are accountable to the House of Commons and, as stated above, encourage accountability and transparency. There is a reasonable general consensus that governments cabinets are at the core of democratic countries' political system and are the most obvious locus of political power. Government participation may not be the only one, but it is definitely one of the greatest stakes for political powers, particularly for parties in the political game in a presidential structure based on a strict division of powers like that of the USA, where leadership roles in Congress may also have a very high autonomous prestige. This could be less obvious. However, it is especially noticeable in parliamentary governments, and to a greater or lesser degree European countries follow this constitutional model, where the cabinet usually often has a leading role in parliament. Therefore, it is all too common that the role of minister should be regarded as one of the top political positions. In countries and politicians' aspiration and be directed this direction, exception may exist. That's all. Thank you.